Hey guys, today we have Kanishka and he is having 2 year and 11 months of experience in Java, Spring Boot and microservices. And those who want to give same free mock interview, please fill out the form below in the description. So now let's get started. Hey, hello Kanishka, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Hi, Leah. How are you?
Yes, I am also good. Shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so Kanishka, can you please introduce yourself and your recent project in brief?
Yeah, yeah. Myself, Kanishk, having 2 years and 11 months of experience in Java,
Mm-hmm.
Spring Boot, and microservices. So
Mm-hmm.
right now, I'm working in British telecommunication project with which belongs to telecom domain. So
Mm-hmm.
here, as a senior Java developer, I
Mm-hmm.
do build APIs, microservices, and other stuff which will carry out uh, the transactions. It can be payment related transactions and
Mm-hmm.
customer account related transactions where he can
Mm-hmm.
purchase some goods kind of thing, basically customer premise equipment. It can be routers, switches,
Mm-hmm.
so in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your day-to-day work?
Actually, we follow agile methodology in which we have
Mm-hmm.
a plan for a 2 week. So basically, the sprint is
two
of
week
two
of
weeks of
sprint.
time. Yeah,
So
yeah.
in this sprint,
So
testing is also included or
no, no. You
testing is
see.
different?
Yeah, basically in a sprint, like in this sprint, I'm working on trouble ticket. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I need to go through the design and write the code for the same. Right now, I'm working on create and
Mm-hmm.
update journey both. So after this is done, right? So I'll
Mm-hmm.
just do just component level testing by going to
Mm-hmm.
Postman and just triggering a request locally. So then in the next sprint, I would be writing test cases for it, like a unit test cases to
Mm-hmm.
just describe or the method functionality, the class functionality. So then
Okay.
I will be making it to proceed to further environments. So basically dev
Mm-hmm.
environment, then SIT, then depending upon the timeline, I'll be moving it to prod.
Okay. Okay. So have you used concurrent hash map in your project?
No, I haven't used,
But do you
but I
know like
haven't.
what is this?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, it's a part. It is something like an hash map only. Like basically, what it does is like it is some completely thread safe. You see,
Mm-hmm.
if you are manipulating any data on an concurrent hash map, then
Mm-hmm.
at the so you see there won't be any mismatch of it. Like there won't be any what mishap, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is basically thread safe. So if a thread is operating on it, so the other thread would wait until that transaction on that is completed.
Okay. So how it is different from regular hash map?
Yeah, a regular hash map is not thread safe. So
Okay.
basically, if you're trying to manipulate the data, so ultimately it will lead to an see basically if you are working in a multi-threaded
Mm-hmm.
environment, so
Mm-hmm.
then definitely you need to use concurrent hash map.
Concurrent hash map. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what happens if two threads try to insert keys with the same hash simultaneously into a concurrent hash map?
Yeah, so basically, you see, it will lead to a hash collision basically because of
Mm-hmm.
the two keys will be having same hash value. So due to
Mm-hmm.
that, it will be going into the same bucket. Like we have a bucket
Mm-hmm.
of size default size is 16, so
Mm-hmm.
0 to 15. So obviously, it will go into the same bucket, but
Mm-hmm.
with indexing. Like basically, if both hash values have 8, so then that the first key, the first thread will be entering some key into that. So if the second key also going into that, then it will be a linked list. Then
Mm-hmm.
again, this also has an you see constraint. Like you see, if it goes on increasing the linked list, like if 10 keys are having same hash value, then
Mm-hmm.
hash key, so obviously it should go to that same bucket, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
this case, after 10 values, after 10 entries into the same bucket, then that linked list will get converted into a tree, a binary tree.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Okay.
is from Java 8. I
Mm.
guess this function.
Okay. Okay. And what is a no argument constructor and why it is important?
No argument. I heard, but
Okay, so have
you
you
see,
worked on a constructor where the arguments are not
yeah.
there?
So basically, default constructor. is an argument constructor. Like
Okay.
you see, you
Okay.
need not to mention it. Compiler
Mm-hmm.
by default, whenever the object is being created, compiler visualize it. Like yes,
Mm-hmm.
it is having, yeah.
Kanishka, before moving ahead, I would like to share one important thing with you. Actually, we had launched complete interview preparation material structure step by step by myself, experts and MNCs interviewers. And the best part is that now no one need to go anywhere else to prepare interviews. There's a 99% chance that interviews will ask questions from this material. So basically, it contain a lot of material categorized by experience level. Means each experience level has different material with all possible interview question and answers. For Java, Spring Framework, Maven, Git, Spring Boot, Spring Security, Spring Data, GPA, Kafka, Microservices, Java coding questions, Stream API coding questions, and many more. I have provided the link to get this in the below description. And if someone need this material, plus two real enterprise client projects for reference, plus one-on-one lifetime doubt sessions, and referrals to the big MNCs, then they should check interview preparation kit. I will provide the link of this as well in the description below. So now moving to our interview. Okay, so do you know about serial version UID in Java serialization?
Yeah, so basically serialization, serial version UID is basically
Mm-hmm.
used to, it's basically used in the serialization scenario. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
you have a class with some ID and name,
Mm-hmm.
so you have serialized it. So
Mm-hmm.
later, if you are going to add one more attribute age,
Mm-hmm.
then if you try to if you try to what we call deserialize it, then you will get
Mm-hmm.
serialization exception. So for
Okay.
that, because the compiler will give a serial version of UID to it in itself. So if you're trying
Mm-hmm.
to add it, ultimately it will show to the other point, other serial UID. So that is the reason why we'll mention that serial version UID in our class.
Mm-hmm.
So then whenever you try to add new attributes, it will still point to that same, and you won't get any exception.
Okay. So, do you know what changes were made to the Java memory model in Java 8?
Java memory model. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. So, Java 8 introduced improvements like G1 garbage collector and the better support for volatile variables with stronger ordering guarantees, something like that.
Yeah, I heard, but I have very less knowledge on it.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
Garbage collector, yeah. Actually, we don't need to call that finalized keyword anymore. Automatically, the Java will take
Uh,
care of that memory collection. Sorry, memory. What we call
mm,
removal of that memory allocated to that particular variable or object. Like if it is pointing to any null or it is not being used in the
mm,
project anymore. So ultimately, like automatically, it will do it in the background.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, mm, what's the Spring Boot version you guys are using in your current project?
We are on like what we call Spring Boot. This one only. Like we didn't upgrade to the Spring Boot. Right now we have the
Two
Spring
point.
3x. Yeah, 2 point. Yes. So we
Okay.
haven't migrated, but we are having an idea to migrate it to Spring Boot 3. But still,
Mm-hmm.
it's in process. Like it
It's
hasn't
in
been
process.
approved. Yeah, we are just doing some kind of POC. I guess. Yeah, we might move
Okay,
to
okay,
3x. Yeah.
okay, okay. So, can using Spring Boot's auto configuration lead to unintended behavior in a multi-database project?
Yeah, suppose like if you see if you're not excluding some of the classes from the
Uh-huh.
enable auto configuration,
Mm-hmm.
then you see ultimately suppose if there is a database which is you see in another environment and you see it is not accessible to the particular one. So
Mm-hmm.
ultimately what happens is it will give some bean definition not found exception. No such bean definition exception.
Mm-hmm.
So to avoid this, if we are not really intended to use that, so we'll just put like at the enable auto configuration, we'll open a bracket and put like exclude, so you can put it in a curly brace, so if you don't want to use that particular
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Okay, okay, got it. What's the difference between iterator and list iterator?
Iterator, iterator, iterator.
So, have you used like these things, iterator and list iterator? No. Okay. Yeah, it's fine.
No.
So iterator basically allows n directional traversal, where as list iterator supports bidirectional, means both from backward and forward.
Yeah, so okay, forward, yeah, forward,
Mm, okay.
forward
Okay.
traverse.
Yeah, yeah. So which design patterns have you used in your projects and why did you choose them?
Yeah, basically, you see, we have three different patterns. Uh, One is creational, structural, and behavioral.
Mm-hmm.
So, while coming to this creational, we use what do we call? We use singleton pattern also. Like if we don't want, you see, multiple instances or multiple
Mm-hmm.
objects to be created for a particular class, then we use singleton and factory design pattern basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have used factory design pattern.
Factory design pattern.
Yeah, and
Factory and
some at one
singleton.
place, yeah, at one place we have used singleton.
Okay, so why did you use factory design pattern?
Factory design.
Okay, for object creation or what?
For object creation, so basically if you see, for an instance, if you need to call three
Mm-hmm.
different classes, okay, so you need not create a new class A, new class B, new class C. So that is again what we call hard coding, boilerplate code, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we use factory, you will pass a string or an argument which exactly replicates that. Like suppose I can pass, okay, type. If type is A, then then create an object of class A. If type is B,
Mm-hmm.
then create. So we can use in that way. So basically here you are not changing or hard coding the data or the class. You're just
Mm-hmm.
passing the argument. Whichever the argument, you just go and create it. That's it. So this is the
Okay,
best thing with factory.
okay, okay. So what happens if you clone a singleton class?
Yeah. So basically, when we try to clone singleton class, it will create the class, like it will clone that particular class. So this is one disadvantage. So here you can't expect a singleton behavior for a class.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
basically, it will clone that object. So it will create an instance. So here that singleton behavior is not achieved in this case.
Okay, okay, got it. What's the difference between error and exception?
So error is something like, you see, you cannot do anything with it. Like suppose
Mm-hmm.
stack overflow or
Mm-hmm.
memory exception or
Mm-hmm.
something happened to the CPU or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
we can't handle it. So exception is something like which can be handled by the developer or the
Okay,
compiler.
okay.
So compiler handled our checked exceptions and the developer handled our unchecked exceptions. So here it is responsible for the developer to
Mm-hmm.
handle those unchecked exceptions.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so checked
So
exceptions you need to
can you give
using
an
through.
example of error and exception? Like,
Yeah, error like out of memory, stack overflow, say, or
mm-hmm.
out of memory exception, out of memory. Like you see, you write a
Mm-hmm.
while loop, while true, while you'll just put true and it will keep on doing like it keep on iterating. So it has
Mm-hmm.
no end. So then definitely you will get this error. So exception is something like, mm, yeah, suppose string a equal to just double quotes and empty.
Mm-hmm.
If we're trying to do some dot equal ignores case, ultimately null pointer exception.
Okay, okay, nice. So, do you know about Spring Bean scopes?
Yeah. Spring Bean scope. So basically here we have prototype
Mm-hmm.
sing- prototype singleton
Mm-hmm.
request
Mm-hmm.
session
Mm-hmm.
global. So basically, singleton, you see the object, that bean would be created and it will be stored in the cache. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you try to use it now, it will pick that one only. So if something prototype type, whenever we call 111 will get created. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, a request is something like, for if I'm using some get post something like that. So for that
Mm-hmm.
entire transaction, one bean. Yeah.
Okay.
And session
Okay.
is something like for the entire session. Like
Uh-huh.
basically, you see, there will be some session timer right for some web pages. You see,
Mm-hmm.
after 1 hour, if you come and see your session was expired. So for that particular session, you can use one bin will be created and will be used.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So when should you use request scope being in a multi-threaded environment? Have you
Multi-threaded
used
environment.
request scope annotation?
No, we just stick to the singleton.
Okay, okay, it's
I
fine. So we
haven't
can
used.
use this for request specific thread safe beans in a multi-thread environment like HTTP requests.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what are the pros and cons using Spring Boot's embedded server?
Spring Boot embedded server. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Spring Boot by default produces sorry gives Tomcat server.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we want to use some other like Jetty kind of thing, so then what you can do is we'll have that dependency, right, web dependency. So you can use some exclusion tag. So in that exclusion tag you can mention the Tomcat and you can add the dependency for Jetty.
Okay. Okay. Like what are the pros and cons of using embedded server?
Embedded server.
Like pros are can be simplified deployment, no external server required, easy
Yes, so,
to
so if we are
uh,
using, yeah, if we are using Tomcat, then obviously no external server is required.
mhm.
Um,
And cons can be like we have limited tuning options, limited setting options, right?
yes, yeah,
Mm.
and I just don't have that exact view of it, but
Yeah, yeah, it's
yeah,
fine. So how would you replace a default embedded server, Tomcat server with Jetty?
yeah. As I mentioned, like you see, you can use that exclusion tag for the Spring Web dependency.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you are defining the dependency, right? When you add the dependency, you can use that exclusion tag. So you can
Mm.
mention over there this Tomcat, and you can add the dependency for JT.
Okay, okay, okay. So, okay. Uh, how would you, I mean, can you explain what a hash collision is and how it is handled internally in Java?
Yeah, hash collision is something like you see when two keys having the same hash value,
Mm-hmm.
then obviously it would be going to the same bucket level. So that is the reason why we had that linked list for each bucket. So it exhibits the linked list behavior,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and later it is binary tree. Like after the
Mm-hmm.
threshold value is reached, the threshold value is 10. So if it is reached, then obviously it will be a binary tree.
Okay, okay. So why is a character array preferred over a string for storing passwords in Java?
Character array.
Hmm.
Yeah, just one moment. Character array.
Like, do you know, like character array is preferred for storing passwords in
Yes,
strings?
yes, yeah, I have come across this thing. Yes,
Okay,
I've come. This is mainly I hear that word. I'm not
okay.
able
Yeah,
to
let me
get.
tell you. So character array basically can be cleared after use, while string is immutable and remains in memory until
Yes,
garbage collected,
yes. It can be yes,
right? Hmm.
yes, yes.
So, what are the implications if a string containing a password is garbage collected before the program ends?
Applications before password. Put the program in. So it can be altered. Like it can be. You see, it can be retrieved
Mm-hmm.
before if it is like come out of this, so it can be retrieved, yeah. So it is something like which is not a good sign of what do we call storing of data.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately it can be accessed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. So in a real time application like Spring Boot application, so where do you store your passwords? Or like what algorithm you used in encrypting the passwords, encrypting and decrypting? Or have you done
Basically,
this encryption and decryption?
No, I haven't done in this project, but we use like you see basics for encoding the password and putting it in our
Okay.
parameters. So basically, what we do is
Mm-hmm.
this password kind of thing we do store in the AWS.
Mm-hmm.
So in AWS we have a parameter store kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing in the system manager. So we'll be putting our passwords and username, whatever.
Okay. So do you know about password rotations? Like we in, let's say if I am working on an enterprise projects, we have some passwords, we have some secrets. So we just rotate them, means we change in every quarter or something like that. Do you know about this?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. So moving ahead. Mm, what's the difference between synchronization and thread safety?
Yeah, synchronization is basically like you're making you'll make use of synchronized keyword. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, when there is a block or a method which is being accessed by multiple threads,
Mm-hmm.
like you see, so then at a time we use the synchronized keyword to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that there is no what we call data inconsistency when it is being accessed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that is synchronized. Yeah.
Okay.
So this makes it thread safe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the difference between string buffer, and string builder?
Yeah, string is immutable, but both string buffer and string builder are mutable. And you
Mm-hmm.
see, all of them work in the same way, but the only difference is yes, it is immutable, and these two are mutable. And also, string builder is not thread safe, but
Okay.
string buffer is thread safe.
Mm, correct. So
Yeah.
where would you use this? Can you tell me a scenario? Where would you use these three different scenarios?
Three difference when you see if you are assigning a value to a string, so
Mm-hmm.
if you want to assign a value which is a constant value, you see you
Mm-hmm.
don't want it every time to be changed, so
Mm-hmm.
then definitely we should go for string.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is something like you need to upon data, you need to change data to
Mm-hmm.
that particular string or anything, so then
Mm-hmm.
we should go for a string buffer or string builder. And again, if it is being used by multiple threads, we should opt for string buffer.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So what's the default implementation of the equals method? Do you know?
Yeah, it compares the references. Like the
Mm-hmm.
default object equals method, it compares the references.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the string overrides that equals method, it compares the values, the content of the strings.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the default equals method will compare the references.
Okay. Okay. Got it. What's the difference between lazy and eager initialization?
Lazy.
Okay. So lazy means when objects are created on demand, whereas eager means when objects are created during initialization. Okay. So have you worked on this lazy and eager initialization?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, it's fine. Uh, okay. So how do you validate requests and handle custom exceptions, Spring Boot application?
Yeah, so basically, we do have at the rate REST controller advice. So
Mm-hmm.
if so, we'll create the class with the annotation at the rate REST controller advice,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever custom exceptions we want to throw at, suppose invalid input data exception or
Mm-hmm.
customer not found exception. So for this, we can use at the rate exception handlers, and we can use them.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Mm, uh, okay. So this is a part of AOP, right? Or what?
Yeah, this
And
is part of it. So basically, you're excluding it from the business logic. Suppose if you
uh,
want to throw some new exception, throw new customer not found exception, there is no need to backtrack it. So if you maintain it separately, so ultimately the logic
mm,
would be taken there, and the process will be going.
Okay,
So
okay.
ultimately, yeah, it is separate from the business logic.
Hmm. Okay, got it. What are um, what are this annotations, stereotype annotations in Spring, and what purpose do they serve?
Yeah, basically stereotype annotations are used like the at the rate component, at the rate service, at the rate repository, at the rate rest controller, at the rate
Mm-hmm.
controller. So this comes under stereotype. So basically these annotations are used by the Spring IOC container. So what Spring IOC container do is whenever it come across these annotations, so ultimately it will create the objects on behalf of the developer.
Mm-hmm.
So the objects created by the Spring are known as beans. So it will create the beans for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the rate component is the generic level, and the at the rate service
So,
repository and control.
can we use repository annotation in service file and service in repository file?
Yeah, see, yeah, we can use, but the thing is, right? If we are using at the rate repository for repository class,
Mm-hmm.
there are some default implementations or the exceptions which is
Mm-hmm.
handled by Spring itself. At the rate no repository found, at the rate no bean repository found exception, I believe. I just forgot that. So
Mm-hmm.
basically it will be custom handled by the Spring itself, so we need
Mm-hmm.
not do anything. If we are using at the rate component or at the rate service or at the rate some other thing, so then it will be a difficult, like it is not difficult, like we need to handle those.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so it's fine. Moving ahead. Uh, what is the difference between JPA repository, paging, and sorting repository and CRUD repository? Like JP repository, one, CRUD repository, two, third is paging and sorting repository. So what's the difference between these?
Yeah, there is no much difference. So basically, if you see CRUD repository as the top level,
Mm-hmm.
and paging repository is the second, and third was the JP repository. So basically, JP repository is the subclass of this paging repository, and it is like multi-level inheritance we do have. Suppose CRUD
Mm-hmm.
repository is basically for the CRUD operations, but when it comes
Uh-huh.
to paging and sorting repository, so it will
Mm-hmm.
it will give some enhanced behavior. Like we can mention like how many records we do want in a,
Mm.
so that kind of. So JP is like a combination of both and other features. So basically, if
Okay.
we are using JPA, then by default we'll get CRUD and paging things.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Got it. So, have you created immutable classes before?
No, in project I haven't created, but I have
Okay.
idea how we can
Yeah,
create.
please go
Like,
ahead.
yeah, basically it should be no setter should be there first of all,
Mm-hmm.
and only getters are to be there, and you see
Mm-hmm.
it should be like static and final. Yeah, the variable should be, the field should be private, static, and final.
Okay.
And yeah,
Uh, and what about constructor? Is there anything we need to do about constructor?
yeah, it's singleton.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I mean private constructor. Yeah.
Uh, okay. Okay. Got it. So how do microservices communicate with each other, and when would you choose a specific communication method?
So basically, yeah. So suppose if the communication should be established, we can use normal REST template
Uh-huh.
approach. We do have REST template approach, and when it
Uh-huh.
comes to the reactive programming, we can use web client approach as well.
Mm-hmm.
So web client is something like you see it won't wait for it won't wait obviously to get the response from back to the from the partner system or the partner microservice.
Mm-hmm.
So this is so basically nowadays it is recommended to use web client
Okay.
since we are moving to a reactive way of programming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically one constraint about web client is in the URL if there is any percentage kind of any special character.
Mm-hmm.
So what the client is doing is it is appending ASCII character against it. So that is
Mm-hmm.
one small drawback of it. Other than
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, very good.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
use it. Yeah.
So how would you handle service to service communication when one services experience intermittent downtime?
Yeah, so here we have you see histories. So we
Asterisks.
in microservice we have this histories
Mm-hmm.
this concept. So basically, what happens is if there is any downtime, so what
Mm-hmm.
it will do is it will wait for a certain threshold time and
Mm-hmm.
again tries to trigger it. If it's still is in downtime, then again it will go to the downtime. Like basically, it won't trigger any request to it
Mm-hmm. Okay.
for that
Okay.
particular time period we have mentioned. Yeah.
Okay. So are microservices, is microservice structure is good or monolithic?
Microservice structure is good
Okay. In
because
every
we
case?
can almost in every case, yes, because we don't need to depend on, if suppose you see if there is if in a project there is some customer related
Mm-hmm.
thing and one order related thing. So if something happens to the order, then ultimately it should not block the customer to do some
Mm-hmm.
basic transactions to his account. So
Okay.
then this is must.
Mm. Okay. Okay. And have you heard about like recently, not recently, I think few years back, Amazon Prime converted from microservice to monolithic.
I haven't heard about this, but yes,
Yeah.
I believe they have. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we cannot say like microservices is best in every case. Sometimes it depends. Monolithic is also good architecture. Sometimes it depends on the client because microservices means a lot of money customer is going to spend,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
In the maintenance perspective and the cost
Maintenance
perspective, yes.
costs, different teams, different testing team,
Yeah.
and different servers. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, Kanishka, it's done from my end, and yes, it was a nice interview.